Pussycat. Meow. Meow. This is Boo Boo. Boo Boo's been relaxing all day.
Somebody asked the other day how our cat was, and she stays downstairs. She has a bowl of water with a lump of ice in it, and she's got her own fan, and it's much cooler down below deck, so she stays there in the day, and then she comes up in the evening for the she has a stroll around the deck. Sometimes she runs around the deck and she's fallen in a couple of times, and in the evening she likes to go all the way down the pontoon to the door and back, a very slow stroll, you know, like she's literally having her evening stroll. Very posh, our cat, very well behaved.
She's digging in the toilet.
I've got the books, I've got the...
Oh yes, yes.
I've got the Ken Wharf, I've got the Lady C, and obviously the Tina Brown. I haven't finished Patrick Jeffson's yet, so I want to finish that. And I want to keep the one How They Murdered Princess Diana thingy, only because it's got loads and loads of copies of autopsies and stuff like that, which is quite useful. It's a bit of an encyclopedia for reference. But Lady C, so I've got to say, out of these particular three, Lady C's style of writing is head and shoulders above the rest. It really is. And I haven't finished the Bauer books, I'm not saying a word about that yet.
Oh, how are you getting on with that?
I'm not saying until I've
Because
finished it.
Trevor's been doing loads on it. His head's been burnt. He says, "Oh, I can't take in any more of this toxicity. I've got to fucking knock it on the head for today."
What I will say is Megan's a very boring person, as I've said before, but it seems to pick up pace and rev up towards the end. That's what other people have told me as well. So yeah, I don't want to spoil it for anybody. Give it a little bit of a chance, because a lot of people in America haven't got it yet. I don't know if they've had supply problems or something.
And the tarot, you've had tarot cards and things. You were talking about you used to do tarot cards years ago.
I was really into tarot cards at one point. There was a shop in Brighton.
But you're not at the moment, are you?
No, I don't do them anymore. I put them all in the bin, and they're not cheap, you know. There's 72 cards in a tarot pack, as I recall. And there was a shop in Brighton, and they had an album which gave you examples, and I had the one that they had on the James Bond. I had the traditional, I can't remember the names of them, the traditional one that everybody uses, they say is for beginners. I even had Egyptian Isis ones, which were an unusual shape, and I got obsessed with them until I was consulting them for everything, you know. Shall I have a cup of tea? Will the postman come now, or will he come later? And it was just ridiculous, and I couldn't live my life, and they were about 70 quid a pack, and I had about 10 packs. Ooh. People had either bought them for me, or I'd you know, every time I got a bit of money together, I bought a pack, and I just put them all in the bin and threw them out, and I thought, that's it, I'm not going to use them again, because I wasn't using them in a good way. I wasn't using them in a healthy way. I mean, I respect people who do it, and I respect people who are not into it and don't approve. You know, as I've said before, it's a very personal thing, isn't it? Personal belief system is between the person and themselves. Oh, go on, right.
So we're taking turns because we're sitting opposite each other. We're not both on
Oh,
the same
I was
shot.
going to ask you a question.
Oh, go on.
Yeah, twitter.com, right? I commented on your video the other day when you were out at sea watching the wild dolphins. Twitter.com said you're in prison. So my question was, which YouTube deleted twice, how come you're on a dolphin boat watching wild free dolphins and you're wild and free when Twitter says you're in prison? Because what Twitter says is bloody gospel.
Yeah.
So go on, explain yourself. Did you escape, or were you on day release?
No. I was in prison, that's true, right? But before Twitter, okay? In fact, in August, which is next month, it is the 30-year anniversary of the day I got locked up. And I was inside for about 3 years. So 91, 92, 93. When did I get out? I got out in 95.
I don't know, I didn't meet you till 90.
No,
I met you 1990.
Must have been 91 I got locked up.
I met you early
92,
1997.
93, 94. So there's 3 years, and then I got out at the beginning. So it's nearly, it was less than 4 years.
No, but Twitter says you're in prison now.
In prison now. Clearly they haven't been notified of my release date, which was about 1995.
No. Twitter is above. Twitter is above the law. Twitter is above.
Right.
Twitter is above everything. Twitter is above the Lord God.
Okay.
Twitter is the gospel, apparently. Or shitter.com, as one of my subscribers said. Oh, I thought that was fabulous. Or twatter.com.
Her Majesty's Prison, Spain. Okay. And this is the prison marina. as you can see. These are the cells. So you have to sleep on a boat, okay? Yeah, yeah.
Screws will be round in a minute.
Anyway, we're
otherwise
going
known
back
as
to it's all
arm police.
bollocks. I don't even do Twitter. You can say what you want about me on Twitter. I don't give a fuck, okay? I don't do Twitter. And don't send me screenshots about what cunts have said about me on Twitter because I don't care. Honestly, not interested in Twitter. It's a sewer. It's the arsehole of humanity, right? And I don't want to even try wiping it up.
Okay,
Listen,
okay, all right.
I'm going to go back to, because I was going to say about tarot cards. We were talking about tarot cards. Now, my mum's husband, not my dad, because she ran off with the vicar in 1969, if you look at my previous films. And the defrocked vicar that she was I'm not going to mention his name because he's got other children out there. And I don't want to...
He's got a very distinctive name as well.
Yeah, I don't want to bring any embarrassment to anybody.
And he's dead.
He's
he
dead
died.
now, so
he was one of the first to die of COVID, I think.
He's dead now, so... But he was into tarot cards. He had loads of tarot cards. I remember we were living down there in Brighton in the 70s. And he introduced me to tarot cards. And I'm like, it's all a load of bollocks. You know, it's all superstitious nonsense. He goes, no, no, no. And he started talking about supernatural forces that we don't understand. I'm serious now. Okay, because as a scientist, okay, I don't believe in supernatural forces of any kind. However, I'm scientific enough to not to dismiss it out of hand. It's like people who say, "Oh, don't believe in God. There is no God." I think that's a really stupid statement.
Well, it's an opinion, Graham. Everyone's on a journey.
Yes,
everyone's entitled.
I'm of the opinion. This is my opinion.
You can't just call people
stupid. This is my opinion and without prejudice because I don't go to church. So I'm not a religious person. I don't do church. So I don't go Catholic.
You don't have
I don't
to be religious.
Protestants. I don't go born again Christian. I don't do any of those things. But to say there's no such thing as God is a really silly thing to say because you don't know. You don't know that for a fact. You could be wrong. So, talking about supernatural forces that we don't understand, I won't dismiss that either, because there's a lot of evidence to suggest that supernatural forces may be at large. Now, I'm going to... Everyone associates the Star of David. You know the Star of David? Fiona's got one around her neck, okay? Everyone associates the Star of David with the State of Israel, for example. But it's much older than the State of Israel.
Yeah, King David found it on an ancient grave or something.
King David came along.
He just thought, that's cool.
That's cool. We'll have that logo, and it's been Israel's logo ever since. But it's earlier than that. And same with the swastika. If you look at a swastika, because I've got a swastika on my Ju-88, which I've been flying recently.
What?
I have. It's on the tail.
Well, on a flight sim.
Anyway, yeah, on the flight.
I was going to say, you haven't got a swastika on our boat.
No. But it's on the tail on the plane because it's a 1930s era.
Oh, that's
Nazi.
naughty.
Anyway, if you look at a swastika, everyone will say, "Oh, that's the evil Nazis," and the Nazis were evil as they come. They were horrible, murdering, scummy reptiles, right? And they brought the human race into disrepute, and they adopted the swastika, and so much so that the swastika has been banned in countries like Germany. You can't have a swastika in Germany, but again, that's a supernatural, really, really old symbol that's got nothing to do.
Oh no, I think it's what you're thinking of. It's the other way around.
No,
it's a Hindu or something.
It's been both ways.
Has it been both ways?
If you go on Google, Wikipedia, the swastika, right? You've got Roman mosaics with swastikas in it. It's something to do with
I know exactly what it's
stars,
to do with.
You know, the pole star and the way the Earth rotates around the pole star, and it's a symbol of goodwill and good luck.
It's not. It's two different.
It depends which way round it is, if it's clockwise or anti-clockwise, and there's loads of variations in Hindus, Chinese. So what I'm saying is that it's a really, really ancient symbol that has been hijacked again by the Nazis in the 1930s. Who were pure cunts. Okay, I'm not trying to stick up for Nazis, but I do not see the swastika anymore as, although it was associated with the Nazis.
I associate it.
We still do. We can't help it, can we? But I mean, it depends on the colour and the way it's shown.
I think you're wading
like
into deep territory here, mate. You're digging yourself a big hole. Go on.
The Star of David and the swastika are really, really ancient symbols, and I think they key into supernatural forces, and I don't know how, but I'm being open-minded here. And
okay, my turn.
Yeah, okay, it's her turn. questions, and theories and stuff in the comments below, please.
You'll definitely hear about all that. Me personally, I think everybody's entitled to their opinion. It's obvious to me what the swastika and the Star of David are. They're alien races, aren't they? And there's a naughty, bad alien race, and that's the swastika, and there's a good alien race, that's the Star of David. That's my opinion. And
Stop.
no,
Or maybe the other way around.
No, because I'd have it would attract evil, and it doesn't. No, I know I'm right. And he laughs at me because I'm not a Darwinian either. I believe the Earth is about 5,000 years old. There you go, digging a big hole. And I think there's a lot of science in the Bible, in Genesis particularly. For example, right? Everybody used to say, Mary and Joseph, they'd been naughty, didn't they? Because they couldn't understand artificial insemination, which I think was made possible in the 1970s. And she said, well, a big white man came, sounds like a spaceman to me, or an alien, and he said, you're pregnant. And she went, how come? I've had my legs crossed since the day I was born. I swear I haven't done anything. And he said, no, we've done it all for you. We took you up in a spaceship, and you're going to have a hybrid, and that is Jesus will be half alien and half. That's why he could walk on water and stuff like that. Of course, I'm wandering into New Testament now as well, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's my opinion. I believe in aliens. I think it's more ridiculous to say there are no aliens out there than to accept there must be some other form of life out there. And yes, there are supernatural things that go on, and there are sciences that we don't understand. Like if you're thinking about somebody and then the phone rings and it's that person. So I think human beings have a basic sort of telepathy about them. And I think people tap into that more when they're doing the tarot cards. What they're doing is, well, a fella that was teaching me to do tarot, he explained it. He said the cards are just helping you to hone into what's going on in your own mind and talk to guides. Also, there's frequencies, isn't there? There's all different frequencies. Like, I've often wondered if schizophrenic people, when they say they hear voices in their head, is it because they're mentally disturbed, or are they actually homing in on another frequency that the rest of us can't bloody hear? I mean, there's all sorts of things. I've seen ghosts. I'm going to do the ghost stories about 86 High Street. No one's ever going to persuade me I was not hallucinating. I was not drunk. I know exactly what I saw. I lived in a house for 20 years that was haunted to death. And it was awful, actually. It gave me insomnia for years. So there's an awful lot of science we don't understand. For example, if you went to a caveman and you got a lighter and you lit the lighter, he'd be like, woo, voodoo magic. He'd be going crazy, wouldn't he? They'd probably burn you at the stake with the lighter. Probably, wouldn't they? And at one point they thought witches existed because they didn't understand things about midwifery. That's what Graham's mum told me. She said a lot of it was to do with midwifery. Whether that's true or not, she was a very clever woman, very, very studious woman. Oh, I want to give a shout out to Poppy Fields before I forget. Poppy Fields is a lovely lady. I think she's from Sussex, and I love her voice. She's like a lady Michael Caine. Oh, Michael Caine's still in my bad books, and I'm not going to say why, and I'd prefer you didn't either, Graham. But Michael Caine has been in my bad books for a couple of years. But she's, you know how Michael Caine's got that lovely sort of voice? Poppy Fields is like the lady version of him. I hope she doesn't mind me saying that. But look her up, Poppy Fields. It's a great channel. And she did an explanation of Tom Bower, and it's not like a spoiler alert. It's really, really good video. I really enjoyed it. Your turn.
There's a boat there with shark's teeth on the front there.
Yeah, no, I just pray, thank God they're not listening to their
Michael Caine's
music.
a racist. I've seen the
No,
film.
he's not.
He is. Yeah, I saw him killing loads of black people.
Oh, Zulu Dawn,
Zulu
shut
Dawn
up.
with the hat.
Shut up.
He was killing black people. Anyway, I don't like Michael Caine either for other reasons.
No.
I do like Michael Caine in some respects because he was a really good actor.
You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off.
And he was actually in the army. He was in the Korean War. I saw a documentary about him. So
was he really, or was it a movie?
No,
because he wasn't at Rorke's Drift, was he? He's not old enough.
No, he's not old enough for that.
Okay.
But he was in the film.
Yeah.
But I saw a documentary where he said he was. So I believe him because I'm gullible like that, you know. he said he was in the army in the Korean War, and he's the right sort of age to be in the Korean War, not the
Probably
Second World War.
national service, maybe.
Suppose so. So he was in, and he was telling all tales about stuff. And it seemed right. It all rang true. So, but then I didn't like him because he was into Brexit. But I'm not
All
doing.
right, let's not go down that road.
I'm not doing politics on my channel. I try to avoid it, but it slips up.
Well, now you've brought that. Now you've brought that up. I'm going to say something. All right. Graham and I weren't allowed to vote in the referendum, not because we're expats, but because when we lived in the UK, we lived on a boat in Bright Marina, and it's not a fixed abode, and you can't register on the electoral register. So there was no trace of us. The last address I was registered at was Sackville Road before I went on the run. So that was that. We were very angry about it because we're expats living in the EU and working in Jib with the border, and it did affect us greatly. But we've left now, and what I will say is, I could do a whole video on Brexit, the pros and the cons, right? Because I remember you wanted to do a business, Graham, before we moved down here, selling corsets, and he found a fantastic supplier in China. And he was getting the corsets for about £5 each, and they were lovely. And he thought, right, I'll sell them on eBay for 15, 20 quid. But when the postman came, he wanted 15, 20 quid import duty because of the single market, right? So that made it impossible to have those kind of business opportunities. So that's in favour of Brexit. And also, now that we've left the EU, well, that's done and dusted. I am now looking at the European Union as a political project, which is just for me, I'm going off it every day. Every day, I will say that, and I never thought I would say that. And also, if I'd never lived outside the UK, I may well have been a leaver. I may well have been a fervent leaver. I don't think David Cameron, giving the entire country about 6 weeks to make their mind up on something that important, because the thing is, a lot of people who are passionately into leave, they've been watching it for years.
He was a twat.
But it's not as bad as I really don't like Boris Johnson. Right, let's stay away from politics. But the man doesn't. I know I'm no one to speak about brushing my hair, but I'm not in number 10 Downing Street.
Rishi should be the next one.
If Boris had combed his hair and ironed his shirt, he looked an absolute bloody shambles. And he is our Prime Minister. And whoever is in number 10, Theresa May, rights or wrongs, at least the lady made an effort. She looked smart. Margaret Thatcher always looked smart. Tony Blair always looked smart. They are representing a country. It is not a bloody joke, and I never appreciated Boris Johnson coming out going and cracking jokes in Latin and making a fool, because he's making a fool out of the whole country, and I don't like that. You've cut me in half. I've got Brighton running through me like a stick of rock, and Britain. So I'm very, very patriotic, and I like my Prime Minister to look like a Prime Minister, and that's nothing to do with Boris's politics.
So who do you want to be the next Prime Minister?
Well, do you know what? I'm not up to date on their
it's
policies.
down
But
to
if it came down to smartness,
Rishi and the other one.
Rishi Sunak, I would go for.
Yeah, and Liz fucking...
Liz Truss, I don't know
I
anything
don't like
about
her.
it.
I don't like her.
Don't you?
No.
I've heard people say she's the next Margaret Thatcher. I'd say bollocks. She doesn't come across to me. There was only one Margaret. Well, only one Mrs. T.
So it's Rishi, yeah? For you?
Well, I like Dishy Rishi because he looks very smart. He combs his hair. He's very intelligent and well turned out. And that's probably not a very good reason to choose Prime Minister. But I don't know. I'm not up to date on where they're all coming from. We followed the referendum, but we don't live in the UK. We only wanted a vote in that because it affected us. But I would never ask for a vote in a general election because I don't live there anymore. I feel it's none of my business.
But in a referendum that...
in a referendum that affects
your
us
life
greatly, yeah. I mean, we were all fearful down here. They voted 96% to remain in Jib on the basis that they were fearful the Spanish would close the border, and we'd all be buggered, absolutely buggered if they closed that border.